94 Sports presents Thunder on the Streets. Brought to you by Cook Chevy Land Service, the Tri-State's first and oldest service supremacy dealer. By Evansville Power and Energy, the solar specialist. By Long John Silver's, fish and seafood dinners. Sounds good to me. By Mills Body Shop, for the highest quality in auto reconstruction. By Central Imports, your Beck Arnley Foreign Car Parts Center. By your RCA dealer. RCA, America's pioneer and #1 in TV and VCRs. And by Evansville Toyota, we deal your way.
Normally on a Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, the streets of downtown Evansville, Indiana are rather quiet, but not today. Hi again, everybody. I'm Bob Ramsey, and welcome to Thunder on the Streets, part of the Evansville Freedom Festival and a very interesting motor racing event. Joining me for the commentary of today's event is Paul Stevens, who is a driver in this event and an expert on just what we are about to experience. Paul, first of all, what is Thunder on the Streets?
Well, this is a autocross that's been taken out of the parking lots, turned into a Grand Prix-style run where we mark a road course off on city streets with pylons. And the idea is to get from the starting light to the finish light in the quickest amount of time without disturbing the pylons.
I think one of the interesting parts of this event, you have anything from a normal everyday street car to some of these very fancy open cockpit types.
It's really funny. It's a family sport, Bob. It's really funny to see them roll up in a Dodge Colt, and out comes the spare tire and the picnic basket and the kids and the wife and the blankets and the umbrellas, and then they take the car out and run it. And a lot of times they'll have a special set of aftermarket tires that are a little stickier than your normal street tire, and you'll see them jack it up and swap tires and the whole thing. So, you know, it can get involved and be a lot of fun for the family.
Several different classes of cars. Just how many different classes?
Altogether, there's a possibility of running about 23 classes. Today, we've got 13 classes out here.
And about 100 drivers?
About 100, about 95.
This is a two-day event. What happened on Saturday?
Well, we were out at Roberts Stadium, and everybody had a good time. We drove a smaller course than what you're seeing here today. It was open meaning that we had some good speeds out there, and they kind of set the stage for today, if you will. How this thing is scored is they take your fastest time of the runs yesterday, and they will take your fastest time today, combine that, and the lowest time per class is the winner. That's how the winner's determined. So that's what we're getting at today is we've got it shaped into a competitive situation now. The driver knows what kind of times that he's got to make up from yesterday, so the action ought to get pretty furious this afternoon.
We are to the northeast, or almost due north of the Coliseum downtown. Describe the course.
Okay, on what we're doing is starting out of the west end, I guess, of the Civic Center complex, moving out onto 9th Street. They trip a timing light on 9th Street, go about a city block on 9th, turn to the left onto Walnut Street. They're traveling about 2 blocks or so on Walnut Street, going into the back of the Civic Center parking lot. And then they have additional course design in that back parking lot. And they'll trip a timing light coming out of that.
Well, let's give you a better view of the track. We'll bring you inside a car for a bird's eye view of just what the racers see.
Okay, we're off, and we're going to go into a chicane to start with. Just a little simple in and out. It's going to keep us into second gear. Now we're going to go into a left-hand sweeper. Get around that. We did that okay. Now into a series of offset gates. We get past this, we'll go into third gear. Now we're in third gear. We're going to come up into just a long straightaway here. Now we're looking at a wall of pylons. We tap the brakes. We're going to hit second gear, come around that to the left-hand side, back into a straightaway. Now we're back up into third. We'll just stay in third gear. We're going to look for a left-hand sweeper here. Get through this left hand, lift a little bit into a short chicane, just in and out. Into another box, into a left-hand sweeper. Get by this left-hand sweeper, we're going to have to tap the brakes and get her settled down a little bit. Okay, now we're in second gear into a right-hand sweeper, into a short straightaway, back into third gear. Now we're going to have to hit it a little bit. We're back into second gear, tap the brakes, and round into a right-hand sweeper. We'll follow this continuously around into a close 180. We're in second gear, into a right-hand sweeper. Right ahead of us are the timing lights. So we just hit them.
Paul, it's an exciting course, and you can see just the kind of turns you got to take and all the maneuvering you have to do in the vehicles. That takes an experienced driver, and we have some out here today, don't we?
Yes, this criteria for registering for this event was you had to drive in prior events. We felt like the first time in for a course like this in Evansville, and the time factor, we couldn't allow first-time drivers on the course. So everyone you're seeing out here today is experienced.
Now, you said, you mentioned to us earlier that the weather is such a factor, and today it's perfect. Why is that?
Oh, it's beautiful. Like Mr. Rogers says, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Oh, it's a wonderful day in downtown Evansville. It's just beautiful. The sun's out. We've got a nice wind that's blowing the humidity away. This will make a racing engine perform much better. One of the things the drivers fight out here is a heat factor. And with the low humidity that we've got today, that's perfect. And then with the sun beating down on the pavement with these racing tires, it keeps that pavement nice and warm, and it makes those tires work for them, and they can get a better speed on their car.
It's time for racing action, and we'll be back with it right after these messages. Paul, the scoring obviously is very complicated. Let's get it down into a simplified form if we could. How's the winner determined?
The winner is determined. There's factoring elements involved here, but basically it's the guy in his class that can trip that timer down there and stop it over on the other side of the course and turn in the lowest time. And he's going to walk away with the marbles.
It's that simple.
It's just that simple.
This was a two-day event. Started Saturday at Roberts Stadium, and yesterday we were out meeting some of the drivers, and let's meet some of the men and women in this competition. We will meet the drivers in depth a little bit later. Let's start with the racing. This is Mike Andrew in the novice class. And, Paul, these are just everyday, ordinary, get it out of the garage and drive it on the street cars, aren't they?
You bet. Mike's real fortunate. He borrowed this car for the day. He's got a heck of a nice neighbor. I wonder how often he's going to have to mow his lawn from now on.
Does the neighbor know what he's doing with the car?
He will now. These are what we call novice drivers or fun class drivers. They're not members of the SCCA. They're members of the Southern Indiana region. And in that capacity, they don't run for trophies or for any points or anything like that.
Now coming on the track is Brent Johnson, 23-year-old from Evansville, and he clipped himself a cone in the first chicane.
He liked that cone real well. We'll probably give it to him at the end of the day. He's driving a showroom stock RX-7. Both of these cars are totally stock cars. The nice thing about the RX-7s and the Mustangs, you can go out, buy one off the showroom and be fairly competitive in them.
There are always two cars on the course. As soon as the first driver is halfway through, they send the second driver out.
Right. We try to get them past. There's one point there on the course where they couldn't meet head-on, so we try to stagger them so that they don't have that possibility of coming at each other head-on when they hit the parking lot.
This is Brent Johnson getting that Mazda moving.
Brent's doing real well. He's been at the club a couple of years. He's driving fairly smooth. Really more like a sweeper. Now he's going to finish up.
And he does it 71 seconds, 687. Brent, winner of the novice class over Mike Andrew. Let's move up in class. We're going to go to the G stocks now, and here's Brent Carey from Indianapolis, who's been doing it for 10 years.
Brent's well, he's been around for a while. He's driving a GT6. This is a 6-cylinder Triumph. G stock. He makes a lot of the street events. He's done in Portage. Earlier he was in St. Louis. He's a pretty smooth driver.
Well, they're doing this for time, but in actual miles an hour, how fast will you get on this track?
Stock cars are probably up around 40 to 50 miles an hour.
Here's Bud Henthorne. He really goes at it. You can see a little fishtail there.
Bud is an awesome driver in that Chevette. He gets everything that General Motors poured under the hood and then squeezes out just a little bit more. Bud's been around for quite some time. He's got 27 years in. He's been a national champ and placed second and third nationally, and divisional-wise, he's been always in the hunt, up in third place or better.
Brent Carey finishing off his run, and he's bringing the thing around rather nicely towards the end. 67.099 for Brent Carey, and he missed a gear in the run.
Yeah, he would probably trimmed another second off of that in the end.
Chuck Zener on the track, Bud Henthorne up in front of him.
Chuck Zahner's an awesome driver. That Dodge Colt has been bumped up from 8-stock to G-stock, and we call him Smooth Chuck. He does a fantastic job in that car.
And here's Bud.
Interesting thing about Bud is he blew a clutch yesterday and spent last night putting a new clutch in that Chevette. So get it ready to run today.
Looks like he really has it going well. 66, 831. Frank Pope from Indianapolis, 37-year-old driver.
Frank's a prosecuting attorney up in Indianapolis. When he gets frustrated with the judge, he goes out and takes it out on file. Right there, he must have really been mad at that judge.
Now, do the drivers see this course before they're on it?
They're not allowed to drive it or to travel in a wheeled vehicle, but they can walk it as many times as they want.
Bill Argyle came all the way up from Knoxville, Tennessee, on the hill to take a drive in downtown Evansville.
Bill's a good competitive driver. This is his first time to be to one of our events, and we're glad to see him come up.
So it's a little way off to come up and ride in this event. Here's Frank Pope again. He's back on the track after clipping a pylon.
Well, Frank Pope looked at it. Good and real good. He's going through the timing lights.
And Bill Argyle, the last man on the track in this class.
Yeah, it's funny to watch these stock drivers pull up because they got the family with them and the spare tire and the tools and everything else. And they just unload in the parking lot and take off.
Seems to maybe be relying on the brake when he comes into those curves a little bit too much. It may be slowing him down.
This happens, especially in this kind of event. You've got a street course that's pretty well wide open, and all at once they dump into a parking lot and they wind up in, getting on the brakes a little bit too soon.
Chuck Zener, the winner. C.B. Hawthorne and Brent Carey finished behind him. We'll be back with more right after this.